All right, everybody. We're doing this special video today, and this whole thing came up this afternoon when I and Santhip were discussing on about something about nakshatras, and then I was asking him some questions, and one led to another, and then we came to this uh, way of looking at nakshatras based on events. And today we're doing this video on a battle which was fought in India in Rajasthan. It is called as the Battle of Haldighati. And I had actually been a couple of years ago. I was there in Haldighati at very close to Nathdwara, and there's a museum called as Maharana Pratap Museum in Nathdwara, Haldighati. Now, this Battle of Haldighati, we want to give a nakshatra analysis of this entire battle, and it's so fascinating that you see a lot of nakshatra themes can be seen very beautifully, and you can use the same way of how to explain events based on nakshatras. Now, let me go and let me tell you who was Maharana Pratap. Now, Maharana Pratap, he was called as a Rajput, and he was the eldest son of Maharana Singh of erstwhile Mewar state of Rajasthan. And this great battle of Haldighati was fought on 18th of June 1576. Now, this date I have collated it from the museum, although when you go to Wikipedia, it gives you a different date which says 21st of June. But this date I have got from, the photographs I've taken from the museum, and they say it's 18th of June, 1576. And this battle of Haldighati was fought in the Aravalli range of mountains in Rajasthan, and it was called as Haldi Ghati because the rocks from this place, when they were crushed, they produced a bright yellow sand resembling the turmeric powder, and the turmeric powder is called as haldi, and that's why it was called as Haldighati, the Battle of Haldighati. Now, the Battle of Haldighati is a very heroic thing because it is all about Maharana Pratap and his loyal, an aggressive horse which is called as Chetak. Now, Chetak was called as the royal charger, and it saved Maharana Pratap's life. And in the battle, it breathed its last in this battle after a heroic fight in the battle. Firstly, you have to know that Maharana Pratap was fighting this battle against the Mughals, and there was Maharaja Mansingh, who was who was on the side of the Mughals, who was fighting the battle on their side. And this is a very, very symbolic thing that you can see that how Maharana Pratap, and Santhip will show you the pictures later on, how he attacked Mansingh of Jaipur, Maharaja Mansingh, and how Chetak, although Chetak was said to be a very aggressive, arrogant, and a difficult horse to control, and Chetak comes from the breed of Marwari horses. They are supposed to be very elegant and very agile and very swift. And it showed and demonstrated the highest degree of loyalty and submissiveness to only Maharana Pratap. Say it was only he could have controlled Chetak. And most of the songs and folklores which are sang in the Mewar area, and also in other parts of Rajasthan, they all talk about the qualities of Chetak. They say, all of them say that Chetak, why was he called Chetak, is because he had a very slim body, and he had a bluish tinge because it was a Marwari horse, and that's why they were called as Chetak. They called it Chetak. Now, the story goes that the Maharana Pratap's army was outnumbered by the Mughals, you know, and he resorted to some sort of guerrilla warfare. And the beauty of this battle is how Maharana Pratap he attempted to kill Raja Mansingh, the commander of the Imperial Mughal army, and Chetak, being its very agile, had to maneuver through this whole fortress of army which was protecting, um, you know, Raja Mansingh. And Raja Mansingh was mounted on a elephant, and Chetak, um, the way these people have maneuvered through this entire battlefield was Chetak was wearing the the trunk of an elephant on his head, and you will see pictures of that. Because uh, whenever the horse Chetak came very close to the elephants didn't harm Chetak, thinking that it is a baby elephant. And that is how, amongst this entire army, Chetak was to take Maharana Pratap very close to Raja Mansingh. And what does Chetak do is Chetak then mounts his first, the four legs on the elephant, which uh, Maharaja Mansingh was seated on, and Maharana Pratap he uses a spear, a long spear, to strike at, and he misses because Mansingh ducks, and because of that, the spear misses, the lance misses him, and the Mahut or the rider of the elephant is killed. So this is the frontal charge of Maharana Pratap, and it misfired and killed the elephant driver. But what happens is because two legs of Chetak were on the elephant had a sword in its leg, and it cut off the one of the legs, the hind legs of Chetak. And then Chetak was wounded, and Chetak had to bring Maharana Pratap to safety. So the folklore and people in Rajasthan talk about how Chetak, even when one of his leg was, cut off, it galloped for 8 miles, and it also jumped over a river and finally, died, bringing its master to safety. So this is the entire thing, the incident, and I think, you know, Santhip will talk about the Nakshatra analysis of this great battle, the heroic battle and the loyalty of Chetak. So, Santhip, over to you to discuss about the Nakshatra analysis that we had discussed this afternoon.
Yeah, sure, Dr. Pai. Thank you for bringing me to your channel and for all the great discussions we had. One of the striking thing was that like in Indian state of Rajasthan, which is like the desert state of India, they have their warrior story, warrior culture there. It's like in all of India is like different 25 different countries within one just simple country of India, and you can clearly see that this battle is part of their folklore and a part of how they are. It's like a big deal there. They talk about the legend. It's like what kids want to be when they grow up, things of that nature. Um, and what was surprising was that when we actually to the story and thinking in terms of nakshatra, that's always do. And then could see some interesting themes come up with this particular story of, especially this battle of Haldighati. So this is a Wikipedia picture of the painting of showing the entire scenes of battle, which story which Dr. Pai, you just described it. But then this is a better picture of the same battle. And here you're seeing the essence of the stories. So you have Maharana Pratap saying a small number of his army, which was like facing, I think the ratio of the army of Mansingh versus Maharana was something 20:1 or something like that. It was 20 times larger than the Maharana Pratap army, and he just went on straight. He just charged straight into Mansingh's army, and they just, he ended up Chetak being the hose, who's a central character. He ended up reaching as close to the elephant of Mansingh. who was on an elephant, and Maharana had a spear to attack Mansingh. I imagine an horse versus an elephant. Imagine how brave that horse really is. And but the spear, Maharana Pratap could only kill the mahout. And so, but now then the reserve Mughal forces came, and Mansingh was fighting on behalf of Mughals. In spite of being a local chieftain and stuff. So then Maharana Pratap had to be escaped from the battle scene. Again, stories of loyalty associated with that, with another of his sub-commander, his crown, and acting like Maharana and diverting the attention and things of that nature happening. And Maharana was able to escape from the battle scene. And as you mentioned, you can see Chetak wearing an elephant mask here. The baby elephant mask. So because of which when there was a array of elephants guarding Mansingh, when they were trying to stop the frontal charge of Mansingh, the elephants let the baby elephant because they thought the horse was a baby elephant and they couldn't recognize. But then eventually one elephant carried a sword, and that was how Chetak's legs, one of the legs got injured, and he was running on three legs, and then there was one final, the Mughal forces were also chasing him. And finally, there was one river which Chetak had to take a huge leap over. And once he took the once he leaped over, but he managed to Maharana reach the other side of the river. Chetak just finally gave in. That is the story, and it's a very story for sure. And so like showing the bravery of the horse, ancient royalty, ancient royal traditions, things of that nature. So a lot of stories in this one painting. But when we begin to look at the nakshatra point of view, it's very fascinating. So let's dissect some of the elements of the story first. So here you have the horse who is standing up legs, and you can see the elephant is having he has actually grabbed a sword, has cut one of the hind legs of the horse. And you can see clearly Maharana's spear here, and the mahout protecting Mansingh behind. And Maharana's spear is only killing off the Mansingh. But what is really interesting is that you can see the elephant mask here of the baby elephant on Chetak's face. So it's as if the Chetak didn't have a head, So that should begin to give you some. And then you can see the actual mask which Chetak wore. And this is the picture of the museum, Dr. Pai, right? This is actually a museum exhibit.
Yeah, there's a museum which I've actually been there, and I've seen this exact thing, where it is displayed. And this is the actual mask which was used in the battle.
Right. So you can clearly see the baby elephant, the elephant trunk kind of approach, and probably it had its own elephant ears too. So that was one thing. But as we know, suffered an injury on his hind leg, and he had to carry Maharana all over to the river. And this is probably the last scene where Chetak had to cross the river. And finally, he was able to help Maharana escape Mughals' influence. And Maharana ended up, reconquering back his own territories from the Mughals. And Mewar supposedly is the only kingdom in India that has always stood up to Mughal, if I'm not mistaken. So they still ensure that their heritage and land protected. So as Dr. Pai mentioned earlier, the date of the event was June 18, 1570. So I just I casted a chart on this particular day, and I just chose a time of 8 a.m. in the morning. And what you find is that on that particular day at 8 a.m., moon was transiting over 1 degree Scorpio, which is falling in Vishaka Nakshatra. So it's in Nakshatra for sure. We began on a Vishaka Nakshatra, which is associated with triumphal arches. So it is considered to be debilitated in Vishaka, but as you know, the story is still, it's like a triumphal arch stories of victory, which we say. So clearly that played out for sure. And then, but if you begin to look at other planets, you can see that Mars is actually in Shravana Nakshatra in 10 degrees of Capricorn, and Mars is retrograde. And one interesting thing about this 10 degree 53 minutes is that it's so close to the first, it's falling almost in the 1 degree within the pada of first pada of Shravana. That if you look at it in the D9, Mars is actually falling into Aries. It's Rashi, but Mars would actually fall into Ashwini Nakshatra within Aries. So this is something you can verify it just by checking out the calculation yourself. You can simply see that within the first pada of 3 degree 20 minutes, Mars is located at within the 1 degree, the first degree of Aries of that pada. So that 1 degree would approximately cover degrees of Aries. So you could say approximately say that it is close falling within Ashwini Nakshatra, which is falling in the first 10 degrees of Aries. So Mars is going to Ashwini in D9, but Mars is in Shravana Nakshatra in Rashi chart. Then if you look at the next planet, Rahu is actually in Boerne Nakshatra in the Rashi chart. And in D9, it would actually go to Hasta Nakshatra. So same logic. It is falling in 8 degrees, which would be the third pada of Boerne, right? No, the second pada of Boerne, right? So the second pada of Boerne, but it is falling exactly at the middle of the second pada of Boerne, and second pada beginning from 16 degree 40 minutes to 20 degrees. So 18 degree 48 minutes is almost at the center. So again, Rahu will go almost to the center of Virgo Rashi, and the center of Virgo Rashi is Hasta Nakshatra. So again, you have Rahu in Hasta. And final thing that is Sun, which actually plays in Ardra Nakshatra. You can see, Ardra is ruled by Rahu again. Sun is in Ardra Nakshatra. So again, foreign influences, foreign themes playing out. King, story of kings, things of that nature. All of that themes were playing out. But let's actually look more into the Nakshatra analysis now. So it's very fascinating when you begin to look at these positions. Now, the two positions I would encourage you all to just keep in mind, just for a brief moment, is that Mars is located in Shravana Nakshatra in chart and going into Ashwini Nakshatra in D9 chart. And Rahu is in Boerne Nakshatra in Rashi chart and going into Hasta Nakshatra in the D9 chart. So now, if you look at the South Indian chart on the left, let's reanalyze the battle again. So as Dr. Pai mentioned, the name of the battle itself is Battle of Haldighati. So we have this connection of Haldi, and Haldi is turmeric. So the name of the place was called as because the rocks created powder which looked like turmeric. So it was a very have the Haldi connection. And then in the Hasta video, Dr. Pai also mentioned in KRS channel's video, Dr. Pai mentioned how Hasta can only connected with turmeric because of the Haldi connection, how both are also beginning with the same letter Ha. So immediately you all can be thinking, okay, there is some Hasta connection going on at the Battle of Haldighati. Now, taking it further, we can also think of Hasta as also the spear, which is what we also mentioned in the KRS channel's video. And one more thing to even think about is that, so if you think about Hasta now, Hasta can also be connected with elephant. So it's like who is the god that is always laughing in the Indian pantheon? It's Ganesha, who is the elephant-headed god. And he's the jolly good fellow, right? So and if you make elephant as if you mark Hasta connected with elephant, now if you look at how the battle played out, the story of the battle played out, you are going to get a very interesting nakshatra point of view. So now if you make Hasta as the elephant and Hasta as the ascendant, what you're seeing is that you have the host nakshatras located in Satabhisha Nakshatra, which is 6th from Hasta. And you also have Ashwini Nakshatra, which is located in 8 houses away from Hasta Nakshatra. So now it should be giving you a clue. What would be the clue? The clue is that in Satabhisha Nakshatra, there's a host nakshatra, but it is ruled by Rahu. So Rahu is the illusion, the planet of illusions, the planet of appearances. So you here have the picture of the horse which is wearing the mask. So there was a horse which was giving off illusion to the elephant, and it turned out to be the enemy. And but however, the elephant had a weapon, and elephant ended up creating an injury to the horse. And it was as if the elephant in the death of the horse. That is one way to look at it. Now, if you remember the planetary position which I asked to memorize, so you have Mars in Shravana, but in D9, Mars is actually going to Ashwini Nakshatra. So now it is as if you can see where the weapon is coming from. You can see that the Mars is the weapon, and that is actually resulting in the Ashwini Nakshatra playing out. Now, so this is one interesting nakshatra thing that is actually playing out. So now this subtle effect, nine nakshatras coming into picture. So how the Mars in D9 Ashwini is actually playing in the story of the battle. Now, what happened in the battle? So he had to finally cross a river, and once he crossed the river, the horse had to die. So the other planet which I asked to memorize was Rahu's position in Boerne, and Rahu is located in Boerne Nakshatra in the Rashi chart, and Rahu is actually located in the Hasta Nakshatra in D9, making Rahu also very important. You have Rahu in Boerne Rashi chart interacting with the, Rahu in Boerne interacting with the Ashwini horse in the Rashi chart. And Ashwini, you already have the D9 influence of Mars. And now what is really interesting is that, see, Boerne is also connected with rivers, as we discussed in a previous video. So the horse had reached death. Once the horse crossed the river, that was its point of death even. So it was also the Rahu and Boerne theme out clearly. And, once the horse crossed the river, then Boerne got activated, Yama got activated, the death of the horse happened. So that is a very interesting nakshatra angle for sure. And then what makes it more interesting is that when you begin the Navtara analysis.
And one more thing, Santhip, before we go to the Navtara, also what we are forgetting is Chetak had only 3 legs, and that's why the connection with Shravana, the 3 feet.
Exactly.
The 3
partners. Right. Exactly.
3 steps.
Exactly, Dr. Pai. That is a very great point, because Chetak got injured, and Chetak only, his leg wasn't working. So he only had 3 legs to function upon. But in spite of that, Chetak was filled with so much bravery that he ended up chasing, crossing the river and saving Maharana Pratap from the Mughals. So Shravana is connected with 3 steps, so 3 legs. You could think about 3 steps. Now, if Chetak's 1 leg was injured, he was only making 3 steps. That was one way to think about it. And what would be the modern day? You can think about auto rickshaws, which has this. That is one way to think about that in a modern day equivalent. But still, you can see the Shravana theme playing out here with the 3 steps of leg. And what was the cause for Chetak to be 3-legged? It was the Mars, or it was a weapon hurled by the elephant. Now, we also have to see Shravana Nakshatra is actually in trine with the Hasta Nakshatra. So, Hasta Nakshatra will end up, it is the Karma Nakshatra of Hasta Nakshatra. So, it will end up playing out in Shravana Nakshatra for sure. And this Hasta Nakshatra ended up using the weapon, but which ended up, almost killing the horse. But that was just not the case, So, exactly, that was a beautiful point, Dr. Pai, like how the 3 legs of Chetak ended up, in the Ashwini Nakshatra expression of the horse. And Ashwini is again the horse again. So, all of that again. Now, when you begin to look at the Navtara analysis, one thing that comes up is that when you make Hasta as the ascendant, if you look at the horse, which is, you look at number 3 and number 7. So, the third nakshatra from Hasta Nakshatra is Pat Nakshatra, or the obstacle giving nakshatra. And 7th nakshatra is the Nidana nakshatra, or death giving nakshatra. Now, if you look at what those corresponding nakshatras are, is that the third nakshatra from Hasta is actually ruled by Rahu, and Satabhisha would fall in that category. So, Satabhisha is actually a horse. So, the horse, the mask wearing horse gave an, gave an obstacle to the elephant.
Yeah, and beautifully, Santhip, you have to know, Satabhisha, we also say is connected to disguise and wheel.
Right.
And he was wearing the mask.
Right.
The horse was wearing the mask, so he was trying to disguise. There is this Satabhisha theme coming out very clearly with the horse.
Right, exactly. The wailing of Varuna, and wailing for sure. Clearly, you can see that in this image. And then the next nakshatra is the Nidana nakshatra, which is the nakshatra. The death giving is actually the 7th nakshatra from Hasta, which is two nakshatras, and that is actually Ashwini. So you can clearly see that the Hasta ended up giving death to the Ashos, and this was actually a horse experienced death because of Hasta moon and or the elephant. So that is one clear theme that was playing out. And what was really interesting is that further, if you look forward, Ramana is where the Mars is actually, and the Mars or the weapon also, or the warrior, even the war, like even that was also becoming a major cause for all these energies or the background for all events to take place. The horse getting injured, the horse getting killed eventually, all of that. So it's very interesting to see this nakshatra themes literally play out in the battlefield, clearly from the chart. And then again, yeah, what Dr. Pai mentioned, Mars, it's the three steps. So Mars Ravana. So clearly the three steps of the horse, but what was the final result? The final result was that Chetak, the horse, got injured by a weapon held by elephant and eventually attained immortality. So again, Ashwini Nakshatra is associated with Amrit. So any association with Ashwini will always give you an Amrit-like quality or an immortality quality, or it will leave behind a legacy. So you can clearly see how the horse has left a long legacy, and how we still speak stories about horse and Maharana Pratap's bravery. Especially, we associate Chetak, his horse Chetak, with all stories of bravery too. So it's very beautiful to see how all these themes and nakshatras, and especially the Navtara system, is also giving an interesting effect. And even by simply analyzing the houses based on the nakshatras itself is also giving a strong effect, strong story. And just to give a brief idea of what the legacy of Chetak is actually connected with, and we on the left actually have an Indian scooter, which is the Bajaj Chetak. It's called as the Bajaj Chetak. You can see the Chetak name written here. The statue of Maharana Pratap with his horse Chetak. And Chetak is also one of the names of the helicopters used by the Indian Navy. So again, Ashwini also has this connection with helicopters. So you can see this Chetak, the horse, which is connected with Ashwini Nakshatra, is also giving this connection with Ashwini Nakshatra thing. And Bajaj Chetak is one of the immortal scooters, when we all were young, probably the only scooter in the market was the Bajaj Chetak. So it was, it's always there in our memory. It has always been there. So you can still see how that Amrit of quality or that immortality quality of Chetak is still playing out, or actually played out into our day, into the real life. So yeah, Dr. Pai, I think that's all. But this was a very short and sweet kind of analysis.
No, this is absolutely what we wanted to do, Santhip. We wanted to keep it short and sweet, and I think this is beautiful. The way I just even think about it this afternoon, we were just discussing, one led to another, and then how beautifully. And you also brought in the spear angle of Hasta. And let me remind everybody
Right.
that in the Roman Empire, the people who wielded a spear were called as hastati. The long spear, the warriors with long spears who were trained with long spears were called as hastati. So there is a very strong
Right.
correlation of using of long spears and hasta. So that was some clue that I got, and then I remembered the elephant, and then we recently did a video on hasta. So somewhere it was playing in my mind, and then we said, let me do, and one led to another, and this is how you can beautifully analyze the events that have transpired in even the battlefield. And you can see the immortality of Chetak, the loyalty of Chetak, although how he was wounded, and despite being wounded, how he became a faithful companion. And it is believed that Maharana Pratap, Chetak died in the arms of Maharana Pratap, and that was the only time Maharana Pratap apparently cried. He never cried for anything else ever in his life, because that was Rajputs never cried. That's what they say. The folklore says they never cried, but that was the first time he actually cried. And he has built a small monument, was erected Hello.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
lost you
sorry.
for a small minute there. Yeah.
Yeah. I think.
Last. Yeah.
So, no, all I was saying is, there was a monument, small monument commemorating his friend and beloved friend, Maharana Pratap, and his companion, I would say. And to this day, this memorial is in Haldighati, reminds us of the wonderful feat that was achieved by the valiant and the loyal horse Chetak. And
Yeah, Dr.
yes,
Pai, what I had was that if you look at the letters of Ashwini Nakshatra, is I
hmm.
think Cha Chi La Lu, Cha Che
uh,
La Lu. You
Chachela,
have that Che, yeah,
Chetak, yeah.
I think Chetak is having that Che sound, which is also resonating with Ashwini Nakshatra.
Ashwini. And that is what gave it immortality. And today, everybody speaks about the immortality because they were the Soma drinkers, isn't it? I mean, they got the
Right,
right to drink the Soma, if not. So
right,
it's a beautiful thing that you have associated. And this is how I think we need to study nakshatras. And nakshatras can give you some very deep insights that no other forms of it becomes difficult for other people to understand if you did not know nakshatras. So anyway, Santhip, I think this was great. It's a short and sweet discussion we have had, and I hope people are going to enjoy studying nakshatras the way we. You can use so many other events. You can pick up any event which is transpired, and you can start studying nakshatras in this manner. So thank you very much, Santhip, for putting this presentation together at such short notice. So thank you very much.
yeah,
Namaste.
sure thing. Thank you, Dr. Pai. Yeah, namaste.